What's up, guys? Seth here. Welcome back to Backlash MMA. I'm doing a follow-up video on Joe Rogan's criticism or his commentary on Khabib versus Iaquinta UFC 223. And basically, Joe was very critical of Khabib's performance, especially in the third and fourth round, when most of that, in that round, the fights were on the feet.
He's just winning, He's winning with the jab.
He got universally just hammered by his commentary. By a lot of people criticized his criticism of Khabib, including myself. I uploaded the video, tons of views. It's my biggest video. It's my biggest video to date. So thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting as well. And he posted an apology. He's saying that Khabib won by a landslide, but it went to a decision, and that was an upset, right? The fact that Al went to a decision with Khabib was a victory in itself because everyone expected a mauling. He's no way biased against Khabib. He's a massive fan. Khabib is one of his favorite fighters. And he does apologize, though. He says, hey, if any of you were annoyed by me just concentrating on that one aspect, just the fact that Khabib doesn't have a world-class striking, he's sincerely sorry, and he wants everyone to accept his apology. I'm glad that he did apologize, because his commentary on that fight was, beyond ridiculous at that point. I mean, and listen, I'm a fan of Joe Rogan. He is one of, not only am I a fan of Joe Rogan, but he is one of the guys that matter in the UFC. What he says matter. You have so many new fans. It wasn't like what it was 10, 15 years ago. Not a lot of people were UFC fans. Now it's like everybody's a fan. I just heard two guys at the gym talking about the Khabib and Rose and all those guys. And it's like everyone's talking about UFC now. So you have a lot of new fans, and they listen to what Joe Rogan says because he is one of the most influential people in MMA, along with Dana White. But what Joe says matters. And when he's blasting Khabib,
these shots are not, they're okay, but it's not like we're watching a world-class striker.
A lot of people are going to tune in and listen to what he has to say and go, you know what, you're right. This guy Khabib is not very good at all. It was not a dominant win. Like, he barely. So a lot of that is going on. So I think because he has so much power, it is important for him to choose his words carefully. During the course of the fight, Khabib outlanded Iaquinta 134-41. In the 2 rounds, it was 37-7 and 35-15. So he won comfortably. I mean, again, all he did was jab, but when you have a defensive fighter who's so focused on stopping the takedowns, one thing you learn is that you don't force takedowns, you don't force knockouts, you don't force submissions. You look for your shots, you set up your shots, you're gonna tag him. And that's exactly what Khabib did. He just kept tagging him, and basically Al made no adjustments, so Khabib just kept doing it. 5 rounds, 2 of them were 10-8, the rest of them were 10-9. Complete domination in my opinion. And I'm glad that he apologized, but keep in mind, this isn't the worst thing that he said.
Once in a lifetime does not apply to Ronda Rousey.
He said some pretty stupid shit in the past. I mean,
it's once ever in human history.
Way more dumb than this. And he also said something which is true, that even after all the years I've been commentating, he's still learning something new about the position each and every event. And I think that is true. And he is doing, when he's doing commentary, it is live, and I think that's very difficult. And I think a lot of people may not be able to relate to that. I can't relate to that. I think a lot of people would think that he's biased. One of his best friends, Eddie Bravo's protege is Tony Ferguson. So I definitely think he's biased towards Tony. I definitely think he wants Tony to win, despite him saying, I'm not, I like both fighters, this and that, and Khabib's one of my favorite fighters. I'm almost certain that he wants Tony Ferguson to be champion, right? I think he has a good relationship with Tony, and he wants Tony to win. I don't blame him for that. I don't think anyone can blame him for that. But that doesn't mean you can be saying ridiculous shit like this when Khabib was fighting. And a lot of people are saying, well, Iaquinta is number 11. Well, listen to what Joe has to say about the rankings, and I think a lot of people agree.
Well, the rankings are horseshit. Yeah, they're arbitrary. They're made by a bunch of people that I think a lot of times are biased. They have terrible judgment.
The rankings were always done by the media. Different medias had different rankings, and they were relatively close. But now UFC has their own ranking, and I think, honestly, the ranking is in MMA, it really shouldn't matter that much. Again, my reaction to Joe Rogan's apology is that, first of all, I'm glad he did apologize. I think universally everyone was upset with his take on the fight. Hopefully we don't see this again. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you're new. I will continue to post new videos every single week. Everything related to mixed martial arts, but all things martial arts.